Brian was the fan favorite, charismatic, honest. He kissed Christina under the stars on day 8. On day 9, he was gone. No warning, no vote, no goodbye, just removed. And what happened after that changed everything we thought we knew about Love Lagoon. Every season of Love Lagoon has its stars. But that summer in Mallorca, 4 contestants stood out. Brian, the underdog, humble and wide-eyed. Christina, confident, magnetic, with something tender hiding beneath the lashes. Huda, bold, strategic, always moving first. And Bobby Johnson, the wild card, loud, stylish, obsessed with being remembered. They arrived on day 1, full of optimism and sunscreen. At first, it felt like a typical Love Lagoon season. Poolside flirting, heart rate challenges, the slow creep of jealousy as new bombshells arrived. Christina was one of the first girls picked. She chose Brian, and people didn't get it. He wasn't the usual type, not chiseled or loud, just real. He told her he was a youth counselor. He'd never been on a plane before this trip. She smiled and said, "Well, now you're flying." That night, they kissed by the fire pit. Off camera, one of the producers allegedly said, "Finally, a real connection." On day 5, they got a private date, a beach picnic. No mics, no producers, just a drone overhead. Christina later said it was the only moment on the show where she felt like herself. Brian told her about his sister, who died 3 years earlier. He said he came on the show to feel alive again. Christina held his hand and said, "You're not invisible anymore." By day 7, fans were obsessed. They were trending. People were calling them the next Zach and Elizabeth. Then came the envelope. At 3:17 a.m., Christina found it under her pillow. The cameras were off. Security footage glitched. Inside, a single word: choose. By morning, Brian was gone. Producers said nothing. The app didn't list him in the vote. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom. His sandals were still by the door. But his bed was stripped clean. Christina broke. She walked around the villa holding his hoodie. She stopped speaking to other contestants. When they tried to console her, she just whispered, "He didn't say goodbye." At one point, she was caught on a hot mic talking to a wall, saying things like, "You said if I chose, he'd stay." Then she disappeared too. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. Her photo vanished from the cast wall. The show's Instagram wiped her entire highlight reel. Fans noticed. #where is Christina trended immediately. Someone slowed down episode 14 and found a single frame. Christina in the background of the confession tent, sitting still, pale, expressionless. Behind her, a blurry figure in black robes. It was scrubbed within hours, but Reddit had already saved it. After that, the entire season started feeling wrong. Edits got choppy. Couples were split off screen without explanation. Contestants began whispering about the confession room like it was a place you didn't come back from. Then came Huda. She was smart, calculated, always in control. She called herself Queen of the Lagoon, and the public believed it. After Christina disappeared, Huda stepped up. She became the narrator, the puppet master. She told Bobby she'd take him to the final 2 if he stopped flirting with the new girls. He agreed. But Huda noticed things. She asked why there were no clocks in the villa, why no one ever bled or bruised, even during rough challenges, why the sunrise sometimes came from the wrong side of the sky. She claimed the producers never blinked, that one of them had the exact same mole as a former contestant from season 2. One night, she walked to the edge of the property, a zone marked off-limits. She said she saw another villa, identical to theirs, but empty. When she brought it up, producers pulled her from filming for 2 days. When she came back, she was quiet. Her makeup was off. Her signature gold necklace was gone. She told Bobby, "I think we're on a loop." He laughed. She didn't. Then she disappeared. Her Instagram? Gone. TikTok? Wiped. Even her YouTube comments, years of them, deleted. The show never mentioned her again. Even closed captions removed her name from past episodes. Bobby was the last one left. He used to be the comic relief. He wore faux fur coats to breakfast. He did impressions of former Love Lagoon cast members. He called himself the Drip King. But after Huda vanished, Bobby changed. He stopped sleeping indoors. He moved his mattress to the balcony and stared at the sky for hours. He stopped speaking during confessionals. Instead, he just stared into the camera, unblinking. One day, he shaved his head in the pool. He said it helped him tune out the static. On day 30, finale night, he was alone. No Layla, no Aaron, just Bobby. The challenge was simple: pick a partner or walk alone. Bobby walked alone. The host asked why. He smiled, almost proudly, and said, "I wasn't here for love. I was here for access." Then the lights flickered. The screen cut to black. The episode ended early. No reunion, no aftershow, no winner announcement, just silence. A week later, someone posted a blurry video from a gas station in Ibiza. It showed a man, shaved head, hoodie, sunglasses, boarding a black SUV. Behind him, a tall woman who looked eerily like Christina. Another viewer claimed they saw Bobby's voice, not his face, used in a Smartwater ad. An AI-generated voice that said, "Hydrate, illuminate, ascend." When a podcast host asked the production company for comment, they got a single email: "Thank you for watching. Your loyalty has been noted." So what really happened that season? Some say it was a production failure, that the show overpromised and underdelivered, but others say it was something else entirely. They point to the villa's location, an abandoned estate once used by a private cult in the 1970s. They mention the odd symbols seen on the pool tiles during the drone shots. They mention that one of the producers also worked on a little-known show called The Test, which disappeared after one episode aired in 2014. More than anything, they point to the pattern. Brian, Christina, Huda, Bobby. They weren't just thirsty for fame. They were looking for something deeper, to matter, to be seen, to be wanted, and maybe that's what made them chosen. Love Lagoon has always promised connection, but what if what it really offers is selection? Not by audience votes, but by something older, something watching. What if the show isn't just a show? What if it's a filter? And what if, this season, the filter broke? It started with a knock, not the kind that echoes, the kind you feel. It started with a knock, not the kind that echoes, the kind you feel. A flat, rhythmic knock, 3 beats, then silence, on the walls of the confession tent. But the cameras weren't rolling. The microphones were unplugged. The tent had been cleared for cleaning, or so they claimed. But inside sat Christina. She hadn't aged. Her nails were still painted lagoon red, her eyes still lined with the glitter they gave her in the Day 6 makeup kit. But something in her face had shifted, like she was listening to a frequency no one else could hear. She whispered one word into the empty tent: "Reset." The footage never aired, but something had changed. Because 3 months after Season 7 was pulled from streaming, an email blast went out to former cast members. Not the finalists, not the public favorites, just the vanished. Subject line: Lagoon Reunion. Location: undisclosed. Brian received it while stocking shelves at a rural co-op. He hadn't been online since Mallorca. Not really. Not after what happened. But he clicked. Huda got the email while running on a treadmill in a luxury gym in Dubai. She stopped. The machine didn't. And Bobby? He didn't open the email because he was already there. They arrived one by one to a different villa. No lights, no cameras, just candlelight and silence. Bobby stood in the kitchen, chopping limes. Christina sat near the pool, her legs just barely touching the water, unmoving. Brian entered last. no luggage, no words. This wasn't a reboot. This was a reckoning. On the second night, the lights turned on, but not the overhead ones, just a single projection, an old Love Lagoon logo flickering like it was burned onto film. Then a voice, female, calm, familiar. The game is over. The test has been processed. Selection complete. No one spoke. They didn't need to, because deep down, each of them already knew. They hadn't just survived something. They'd passed something. Huda, ever the strategist, asked the question first. "So what are we now?" The screen shifted. A single symbol appeared, a spiral wrapped around an eye. Brian stood. "We were never contestants. We were candidates." The next day, things got stranger. The food restocked itself. Christina's journal, which she never packed, was on her bed. Every page filled in her handwriting with memories she couldn't remember having. Bobby found a locked door under the hot tub. He didn't open it, but he sat in front of it for 3 hours, saying nothing. Then he smiled. It's not about what's behind it. It's about who built it. Each night, more former contestants arrived. Layla, who supposedly won Season 5. Jaden, who was eliminated on Day 3 of Season 2. Even Lexi, the girl who fell off the Love Lagoon yacht in Season 3 and was never shown again. They weren't older. They weren't younger. They were exactly as they were when they left. By Day 6, there were 23 of them. That night, they were instructed to vote. Not for love, not for money, but for memory. "Choose the moment you became real," the screen read. One by one, they wrote down memories. Christina chose her fire pit kiss. Brian chose the beach picnic. Huda didn't choose. She stared at the paper, then wrote, "None of this is real until we say it is." When the votes were tallied, the screen went blank. Then one word appeared. Unanimous. The villa shook. The projection blinked off. And for the first time, the front gate, the one always shown but never used, creaked open. Outside was a single path, lit by torches. No cameras, no drones, no staff, just silence. Brian stepped forward. "We finish it together." They walked. What they found was not a stage or a studio or a production hub. It was a room. Stone walls, ancient carvings, a circle of chairs, and in each chair, a version of themselves. Not reflections, not holograms, but actual selves. Expressions frozen in the exact moment they'd each first appeared on Love Lagoon. Bobby's old self smiled wide, holding a champagne glass. Huda's version had her arms crossed, skeptical. Brian's version looked nervous. Christina's was crying. The real versions stepped into the circle. The lights dimmed, and a final voice echoed. "We built this place to measure what the world cannot. Transformation." The room flickered. You came here searching for love, for attention, for meaning, and in the end, you chose yourselves. Then silence. Each old self stood up, walked forward, and embraced their current counterpart. There were no explosions, no final test, just a quiet, undeniable knowing. When they returned to the villa, the candles were out, the rooms were empty, and the sea had risen higher than before. Bobby tossed his mic pack into the fire pit. Christina took Brian's hand, not because they were in love, but because they remembered why they started. And Huda, looking at the moon, whispered, "We're not the story anymore. We're the authors." The next morning, they walked out. No finale, no confetti, just footprints in the sand leading away from the lagoon. And from that day forward, no new season aired. The network went quiet. The app stopped working. But people still talked, still searched, still wondered. Because sometimes, when the wind hits just right, a single word appears in the old show's metadata, choose. But now we know, the real question was never who would win. It was, who would wake up?